Hey replay viewers, be sure to check me out on YouTube Penguin6, Instagram, Facebook Penguin6, Twitter Penguin6. I'm kind of everywhere. Hey, welcome Stella to Periscope. Welcome to Hong Kong, where you're looking out at some big puffy clouds. It's a nice morning today. You're looking down at Kennedy Town, Kennedy Dien. Hey, thanks for the super heart. So we're looking down at Kennedy Town on the western side of Hong Kong Island, Izen, where it is a gorgeous morning today. It is pretty, isn't it? Look at those clouds. And the jungle has got some shadows from the clouds. It is pretty peaceful today. That's why I went live a little bit early today. Usually I don't go live until we get to the skyline, but I thought, let's turn on today here. Now the big skyline view is about 7 minutes away. So we'll take about a 7-minute hike to get down to the skyline, where we should see those clouds even better. There's a high-speed ferry going by on its way to Macau. It's about 8 something, right? It's 8:12 here in Hong Kong. And I'm going to take you on my hike for the next hour. We'll come back to that view in about 7 minutes as I hike up this hill. Yeah, we got to go up a little bit of a hill, then we'll have some really pretty views. That view is nothing, to be honest, compared to the view we're about to get in 5 to 7 minutes. So if you got 5 or 7 minutes to kill, you know, just leave it on and we'll show you what the city really looks like up ahead. Bonsoir, friends. Ça va? This is Hong Kong. It's 8 in the morning here. It must be after midnight in France. I am on the peak. I haven't had breakfast. So I actually wasn't feeling that well yesterday. I went home after my drone. I flew the drone yesterday. We periscoped that, and then I went home and I fell asleep for most of the afternoon. So I didn't really get a chance to have lunch. So today I think is definitely fish and chips, maybe burgers. My son's home today playing hooky, 2 a.m. in France. Oh wow. In Tennessee, and I think it's going to rain in Tennessee in a few days. It looks like Irma might even go to Tennessee as a cyclone, tropical cyclone as far as Tennessee. That'd be crazy. Doing a 360 today. Not sure. My son's homesick, so it depends how much I have to do with him. The nanny's taking care of him right now. Algeria, no tropical storms there, I don't think. I've been to Chattanooga. Hey, Bay. Welcome to Periscope. I'm never sure which side she wants to walk. I noticed one boy. He's not even that sick, to be honest. This was a preventive sick day. Had he gone to school today, he might have been sick. Hey, welcome, Clapton. Had he gone to school today, he might have gotten sick. So we opted out of an abundance to caution to keep him home. You are in Hong Kong, in the People's Republic of China, and we are making our way up to the peak observation levels to show you the city. But right now, we're kind of in the jungle. So most of the city is not visible. In fact, this viewpoint wasn't visible until we had our own tropical storm and it broke this tree. So another 3 minutes probably and we'll have the city. I do sing Welcome to the Jungle every now and then. We have two jungles, urban and tropical. Both kinds, country and western. The city is we're an island, Hong Kong Island, and the Kowloon Peninsula. The city was built because of the harbor, Victoria Harbor, a safe harbor from the storms that flow in this part of the Pacific Ocean. Shipping is a major industry here in Hong Kong, as is finance. But there are many beaches on Hong Kong Island and on the Kowloon Peninsula. There are over 200 islands. Most of them are not occupied. But several islands are. We have a tsunami warning system, but the ring of fire, the earthquake zone, is not nearby, such that we don't really get them. I think the Chilean tsunami of the 1960s was a few inches here, but nothing like Japan. Hey, thanks for the super heart. You missed something about what? Oh, the city on the water. Yeah, well, we're an island. Hong Kong Island is in the South China Sea. Victoria Harbor is our safe harbor from storms. Huge shipping presences here. The U.S. Navy pays visits several times a year. So there you can see Victoria Harbor. We're going to have a better view than that. Just bear with us. About another minute. Loop of death. Oh God. Been having that problem. And it's actually a really strong signal here. But still I get the loop. Sometimes in Japan and the Navy, the 7th Fleet actually comes through Hong Kong. Yeah, the Winnipeg Grenadiers were the defenders of Hong Kong, as were the Rajputs and the Punjabs of the colonial British Army. The Rajputs, Punjabs, and the Winnipeg Grenadiers handled the bulk of the fighting when the Japanese invaded in 1941. And many of them died for king and country. Oh, there's a loop. Crap. Hope the signal's still going. Keeps freezing. Yeah, I don't know why. I'm getting your hearts now, so something's working. I can see Shenzhen. I can just see the skyscrapers of Shenzhen over these mountains here, which is our nearest mainland China city. Loops again. Loops of fury. What a shame. This is a gorgeous day. You know what? Let's pull out the backup phone. And let's do YouTube at the same time. That way you guys can get me in stereo. I'm not sure why Periscope craps out at this point. I think it's a server connection issue. Yeah. So we're starting at YouTube. Oh, you order from Shenzhen all the time, yeah? You should come and visit Shenzhen. It's a pretty cool place. So guys, if you're having problems with Periscope. I am starting my YouTube. Penguin 6 on YouTube. And we will be going live dropship onto eBay. Oh, cool. That works. Okay, so there we go. So if you're following my YouTube channel, Penguin 6, you can see me on YouTube. I've just started a YouTube stream simultaneous with Periscope in an effort to give you the views from both. It's amazing how much steadier Periscope is, though. YouTube just bounces a lot. Some big gray clouds here today. Look at that cloud. That's kind of sucky. Hey, Wanda. See you on YouTube now. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I've had really bad connectivity here, which is a shame, because I've got a strong signal. And if you go over to my YouTube channel, Penguin 6, you should be seeing this live as well. Yeah, Periscope is a little rough. YouTube's a little bouncier, though. Alibaba is in English, yes. Taobao is in Chinese. AliExpress is in English if you just want one or two items. You know, I've resisted changing carriers, but I may just have to. It's just so unacceptable. Download the AliExpress app and then use the camera functionality. Periscope's having a rough day today, isn't it? This is a gorgeous view today. Guys, we're simulcasting on YouTube because Periscope has been crashing so much. I think it's because of the carrier. Taobao has all the good fakes, yeah. The Taobao has the camera. The Taobao app has a camera you can use. Hey, bet. What a gorgeous day. I really should have brought the drone today. So my YouTube channel is Penguin 6. You can subscribe to me over there as well and get the view at a little bit higher quality if you want to watch on YouTube instead of Periscope. I'm doing a simulcast today simply because we're having some connectivity problems with Periscope. I don't think it's Periscope's fault. I think it's just my local carrier fighting with me. Oh, bonjour, bonsoir, Paris. So we have a little bit more uphill to go. We just have to get up to that lamppost over there. And when we get up to that lamppost, pollution, what pollution? Blue sky kind of day today. It's gorgeous today. Ah, okay, what's happening with the Periscope? There we go. Well, the YouTube is using an iPhone 6. And the YouTube is on 1010, which is the premium mobile carrier, and the iPhone 7 is on SmartTone. But I'm really thinking I've got to switch. Since I came back from America, I've just had the worst luck with the SmartTone signal. So I've now hit the peak of my hike, that is. I can go no higher. I don't have to go any higher. I think it's a better way to put it. What a gorgeous day. You can even see the big clouds casting shadows out on the water. So today is either going to be fish and chips or a burger. Don't really know. Oh, you recognize some parts, Wanda? Cool. Really should have brought the drone, shouldn't I have? Where's that blue sky? There's the blue sky. It's cool. This is kind of neat for me. I can see which camera has a bigger... You know, the iPhone 6s has a slightly wider angle lens than the iPhone 7. I flew the drone yesterday. I had some fun with it yesterday. So if you look at yesterday's broadcast, you can see a drone flight over the city. But today would have been a good drone day since it's so, well, pretty and cloudy and stuff. Fish and chips is very possible. It depends on my son. We'll see what he wants. Oof. All right, let's go to the next viewpoint. The viewpoint that was created by Hato. Typhoon Hato. Somebody lost something. Do we get large fish? We've had whales here. A Korean bulgogi place in your town. I'm sure most Korean places will have some bulgogi beef. Sometimes it's served as sushi, bulgogi sushi. It's just this shredded beef. There's a lot of recipes you can make it yourself. So I reported this landslide issue to the Parks Department, and then they bumped it to the Highways Department. So we'll see if they come out here and fix it in the next few weeks. This is from Hato. Too much runoff caused flooding and erosion. Erosion's a big issue here because it can cause landslides, and this is a real landslide risk because the cliff edge is right there. And if there's a landslide here, it's going to end up in someone's backyard. It is like a postcard today, isn't it? Reminds me I need to buy a postcard. I've got a lot of crap to do today. Do I cook at home? I have a nanny who cooks for our family. So I don't really cook much at home. She cooks what I want. And if I want something new, I just print the recipe and she makes it for me. So last night, what did she make me? She made me a salad, and she made me some bell peppers and chicken and peppers, sort of a thing, and I ate that. And you saw my Hawaiian bread the other day. If you're on my Instagram, you can see the Hawaiian bread we made. We tried to make King's Hawaiian bread. It wasn't as sweet as the American, though. We're not very good at bread making. We don't... I don't know what it is. For some reason, our bread just doesn't puff enough. I think I have to double the yeast. Only one's disappeared, and we all know where he is. He's in mainland China. YouTube is spinning. Yeah. I have a bread machine, but the problem here is altitude, humidity. We just don't get the right consistency in our dough. Someone said I just have to make a lot of dough and get used to what dough is supposed to feel like. Most of my dough comes out like, well, Play-Doh, basically, because it's so thick. The result is that the bread I make is incredibly thick bread. In fact, probably too thick. It needs more bubbles. So I told the nanny that every time we make bread to double the yeast that we use. Now you got me making, I'm thinking I should make some bread. Where are the trees from? Hello, Columbia. These trees are mostly palm trees. Interesting side note, if you notice, there's not a lot of really big trees here. That's because this mountain was completely deforested up until about World War II. The locals would come up this mountain and cut down the trees for firewood or charcoal or whatever. So basically this mountain, if you look at pictures from World War II, this mountain was completely void of any foliage. And they blew it up a lot during the war. There was a lot of bombs that went off. And after the war, the government said, you know what, let's just reforest the mountain. Let's stop burning it all and let's let the stuff grow. So they started a massive reforestation project. And now you have a lush tropical rainforest. In fact, one of probably the lushest on Hong Kong Island itself, because of the shape of the mountain and the amount of moisture that we get here in this part of the peak. The side, well, we don't have a direct like-for-like comparison. We were hit by Typhoon Hato the other day, which actually got to the level of super typhoon for a while. And it was basically, by American standards, it was a Category 3. And that was pretty severe. The storms in the Atlantic are pretty much the most powerful storms near civilization. The most powerful storms out there, though, are around the Antarctic. If you take a look at the Windy app, W-I-N-D-Y, windy.com, take a look at the storms currently circling around Antarctica, and you'll be like, oh yeah, Irma, that little blip, compared to what you see going on in the South Atlantic. Though Irma is pretty scary. Heading right for you, Wanda. Hope you're all ready for that. Yeah, we've had a lot of pixelization today. Not really sure what's up with that. I wonder if I still even have LTE. It says I do. I should have my data rate. I don't know, it's the thing. I'm on one of the strongest connections right now. 5 bars, if you will. But we're just having horrible connectivity, which is why I'm kind of thinking of dumping this carrier. My contract expired this week, so I can pretty much go to any carrier now and get a new plan. Yeah, my YouTube is on a different carrier. So my Periscope is on SmartTone and my YouTube is on 1010. And it seems that the 1010 is just a better quality signal, which is leading me to believe I should probably switch to 1010. Diet. Diet is the biggest secret to good skin. They eat a lot of fish, drink a lot of water, no French fries or Cokes. That said, they're more than happy to sell you some chemical they'll say that has all the secrets of it. But I think you need to look, Asians' hair generally is much thicker and lusher. Hair is very similar to skin. There are genetic reasons for that. There's also dietary reasons as well. What doesn't look as what on Periscope? I'm from Hong Kong. I'm originally from the United States, but I've been here 7 years. So I'm kind of a permanent resident here in Hong Kong. Sometimes I wish I could take my Facebook page with all my high school friends who from 25, 30 years ago. Hey guys, Jonathan JK is here. Jonathan JK is a periscoper somewhere in Mongolia, I believe, right now, on his way back to Hong Kong. So you can see him in the Periscope chat. YouTubers, you can't see him, but he does have a YouTube channel, Jonathan JK, in the capital of Mongolia, Genghis Khanistan. I'm from, butterfly, from Washington, D.C., but I grew up in Illinois. Price inflation. Price inflation all the time. Did I have to file papers for residency? Yeah, but it was a one-page form, and they just basically checked the computer and said, okay, you've been here long enough. Boom. Oh, okay. So Jonathan JK is currently showing his hosts pictures of Hong Kong. John, let me try to get you a bit of the view. It's not going to be as nice as when I get over to the observation level, but you can see a bit of Hong Kong for your Mongolian host family. And Victoria Harbor. Oh, I think he just disappeared. Maybe my signal just sucks. There's a dog coming. That's the picture, like, well, we're going to have that picture in a bit. Anyway, as I was saying, I would love to show, well, I've shown my son my high school yearbook photos of all the pretty girls, of all the cheerleaders, and all the popular people. And then I showed them their Facebook pages 25, 30 years later. And I'm just, as the lesson, beauty fades. It's a pretty powerful lesson. True beauty lasts forever. So actually, over here earlier, I saw a bicycle. Is it still here? No, a guy rode off with, oh, it's there. So see that green bicycle there? That's a rent-a-bike. I was going to take that guy's bike and ride it around the peak. Okay, let's go get the view. There's some dim sum up there. That looks really good. I should go there one day for lunch. Ice cream cones. Ice cream cones covered with sugar. Cocoa Puff. Cocoa Puff ice cream cones. Cocoa cups dipped in marshmallows wrapped around an ice cream cone. It's pretty cool. Is it raining now? No, it's actually a gorgeous day. See that? Are they strict on crime here? They do have some strict sentencing. They have more cops on the street. They have a better economy, less unemployment, more emphasis on education, private security guards in most buildings, and sense of shame and family structure, and no guns. So basically, every single thing anyone in the United States has ever said, if we do this, we'll reduce crime, they did it. They did all of it. And guess what? They reduce crime. So our murder rate is 1/4 the murder rate of London. And the murder rate in London is 1/4 a comparable sized city in the United States. So the numbers are just crazy. Those big clouds. Yeah, I mean, it's nuts. St. Martin has been destroyed as Hurricane Irma ravages the Caribbean. I'm reading my New York Times news alerts. It really does look like a bomb went through those places. I think the tram's coming, so let's hang out here for a second. It looks better on YouTube. It's true. The violent crime rate in England is getting a bit out of control. In fact, I think if you take out murders and just look at like assaults and robberies and whatnot, you're actually more at risk in some English cities than you are in some US cities. Well, a lot of it comes down to the counting. I think England counts violent crime slightly different than the United States counts violent crime. So it's an apples and oranges comparison just on a pure statistical number, but I don't think it's getting to be that much better in England right now. But maybe once Brexit is done, there'll be no more crime at all. Yeah, I don't know what's up with the police. The police numbers are just crazy in England. It's like they fired, what, half the cops in England? They do have good crime novels. I love reading English crime novels and crime shows. Actually, I kind of like European crime TV. Like BBC, what is it? BBC Two has like all these European crime stories. Series from like Denmark. Though I just saw the trailer for The Snowman. Have you guys read The Snowman? Joe Nesbo's Scandinavian crime story. If you haven't, go see the trailer for The Snowman. Yeah, austerity. Let's fire the cops. I was actually watching a show. There's a show on the BBC now called Ambulance, which is one of those documentaries where they drive with an ambulance. And I think they were in Birmingham or something. And God, the number of calls they had. It was just crazy. I mean, they were dealing with hundreds of calls, and they had dozens of ambulances to deal with hundreds of calls. I mean, I remember when I first started going to England, you had to leave the pub at 10:30 or whatever it was, 10 or 10:30, the pub's closed. But now, God, pubs are open till, well, whenever. Under the mistaken and widely disproven theory that people would drink slower and more responsibly if the pubs were open longer. Latest one's up tonight. It is really steep. You definitely walk on the front of your toes because your shoes you just get crunched to the front. Binge drinking in England is still, I mean, in the United States, binge drinking is more of a college thing, university thing, but in England, it seems to go on quite a bit. Basically, everyone here in Hong Kong that I've met that has an alcohol problem is British. Yeah, the pub crawl. What was I watching? What's that movie with Simon Pegg doing a pub crawl with aliens or something? The Last something or another. I can't remember the name of that movie. They were doing a pub crawl and they found out everyone had been replaced by like aliens. Illinois Nazis. I hate Illinois Nazis. you ever seen the Blues Brothers. Lehman, The World's End. I knew somebody would have the name there. Lee Min Hyo, you love him. Okay. Who is that? That was literally a crawl to the next pub then, 16 beers. So it was 16 pints, that would probably explode. My father used to remark, you know, he would have students and they'd be like, yeah, I had 21 beers on Friday night. And my dad looked at him and he says, you know, if I had 21 jelly beans, I wouldn't feel that good. That's kind of true. Leyuman? It was filmed in your town. Oh, the World's End. Is there actually a pub called the World's End? And do they have like a hot meringue sandwich or whatever they call it? Yeah. Oh boy, look at that trash on the ground. You know what that means? Wild pub, wild pigs. Ugh, stinks too. So the guys put the trash out, but they didn't seal it, and the pigs have gotten into it, which is why there's a stench of trash. Yes, at 4 o'clock they actually play that song, Everything Stops for Tea, which is an old British 1920 song, and they play it here on the radio. When the clock strikes 4, everything stops for tea. Yeah, we have wild boar here on this mountain. There are a number of wild pigs running around this mountain, and you see them every now and then when people leave their trash out like that. Everything stops for tea, and lawyers in the courtroom, in the middle of an alimony plea. Stop the clock when the clock strikes 4. Everything stops for tea, or cha, as they call it here. Cha. And many tea houses. I hate tea. I'm really not a big fan of tea. And it's funny because whenever I go to a meeting in England, I am served tea. And out of politeness, I always drink it. And I try to time it just right, so when I think the meeting is about over, I'm finished with the tea. And then they always refill my tea, and I'm just like, God, I had to suffer to drink the first one, and now you're making me drink another one. It's like another Diet Coke to wash out the taste of the tea, do you? Coach, they're like, would you like sugar with this? And I'm like, yes, why don't you just fill it with sugar? Then it'll be fun. That's the famous story of when Prince Charles met Reagan. He didn't drink the tea. The Reagan staff had brought some tea out for Prince Charles and Lady Diana. And it turned out Prince Charles didn't know what the little bag was for on the side of his tea. He was a bit confused, as tea bags were not popular in England. So Prince Charles just looked at this little bag of something next to his water and just sort of left it. Hong Kong was founded because of tea, basically. A place to import it from, and then they tried to export Western goods. The Chinese government wouldn't allow it. They insisted on silver. So instead of silver, the British started sending them opium. Yes, he does drink it rather daintily. But then again, I've never really seen a mug of tea or stein, you know, like a British drinking stein. Do I know the whole story? No, I read that little bit about it. It's a little sidebar. There's also in the Reagan administration, the Queen visited, and she was being introduced to the staff at the White House, and then a guy came walking around the corner, and he didn't know the proper protocol, so he just said, "Hi, Queen." And they're like, "Hello." Hey, Penguin6. So, I don't think High Queen is in the Royal Protocol book, but it works. Oh, they're getting a delivery of something big here today. Digger, a big, big digger. There you go, on the sidewalk. So this is 22 Barker Road, the home of Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba.com. And he's renovating right now with a big digger. You know, there's now amusement parks in America and I think in China that are just big earth-moving machines, and it's for like guys to go and drive bulldozers and graders and diggers and stuff like that. Yeah, she is pretty scary. So I was actually, my son yesterday saw the photos of Prince George going to school for the first time. And I had to explain, well, after the Queen dies, then it's this guy, then it's this guy, then it's this guy. Oh, the home is Jack Ma, M-A, Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba.com, one of the largest internet sites in the world, and he is one of the richest men in Asia. Worth about 31 billion US dollars, 31 billion US. He bought that house for 193 million US dollars, 193 million American dollars. He bought that house, but he hasn't even moved in. He bought it 2 years ago. Signal always goes wonky here. Yeah, we've had a really bad connectivity day. News on Prince Charles today? I haven't seen. I saw Prince George. All the little mommies were like, "Oh, he's so cute." Well, there's another example, Prince William. Okay, so how many of you gals who are watching liked Prince William when he was like 22 and are now like, thank God I didn't marry that guy? Well, this place here is 100 million US dollars, and this one was 70 million US dollars. But you can rent for 65,000 US dollars a month. 65,000 US a month. There are a lot of billionaires. I think there's as many billionaires here as there are in New York. Yeah, yeah, but I think they always make a big deal about where I know, like Prince Charles went to Hill House School in Kensington, where my business partner actually went to school at Hill House. And then I don't know where William went. William went somewhere. William and Harry. Oh, that's right, all the Diana documentaries this week. You know, I actually haven't watched them. It's just funny because my wife is so my wife's first exposure to the West was in the 1980s when China started to liberalize their media. And some of the first images she ever saw of the West was Princess Diana. And Princess Diana quickly became the epitome of a Western beauty. You have to understand that the Chinese were coming out of the Cultural Revolution. They had not had a lot of stuff. Yes, there are wild animals here. There are wild boar and porcupine and snakes. So my wife's first exposure was Princess Diana, and that sort of set the tone, like this is what a beautiful Western woman looks like and carries herself. So she sort of became kind of a standard in China as China liberalized in the 80s. I think that's why the Kardashians don't do so well in Asia. I don't even think people know who they are here, to be honest. Hey, how's it going? So we are walking down the Central Green Trail now, Chatham Path. Did you guys see the newspaper in Wales? There was a funny story. There was a newspaper in Wales, and this headline read, former Anglesby helicopter pilot announces pregnancy. And it was like, Kensington House has announced the pregnancy of former local man, Prince William, helicopter pilot for the RAF. Of course, they did that in Scotland, too. They said, local businessman now elected president of the United States, because, Donald Trump owned that golf course. So. I am amazed. Now, the YouTube quality might be better, but that phone doesn't have image stabilization. And it's amazing how the iPhone 6S jiggles versus how the iPhone 7 is this smooth picture. iPhone 7 has optical stabilization built into the phone. You're in Hong Kong. I think when the iPhone 8 comes out, if I can find some way for someone to buy it for me. Are we a joke to many there? Who? Is who a joke? So today I'm thinking Cheerios or a bagel. Is the U.S. a joke? Bot block them. No. No, there's a line out the door of the U.S. consulate every morning with people wanting to visit or move to the U.S. That said, the political system is not admired, I would say. It wasn't me who biked up to the peak. In fact, there was a guy who was getting back on the bike while I was up there, because I was going to I downloaded the app so I could actually ride that bike, but he hadn't turned the bike in yet, technically, so I couldn't ride it. I'm pretty impressed. That bike came all the way from the other side, Kowloon, and he rode it all the way up to the peak. That's pretty impressive. That or he stole it. It's very possible he just stole it. Bike sharing is huge in China, but there's lots of problems. There's been a lot of vandalism, a lot of theft, a lot of bad manners. People rent these bikes and then just leave them in the middle of the street. Hello. Bruce Lee lives in Kowloon Tong, and I don't get up there very often. Jonathan J.K. gets up there. He's another scoper from Hong Kong. But I stay mostly on Hong Kong Island. Do I ever jog? No, not really. I used to run when I was younger, of course, as everyone did, but I'm more interested in just getting the benefit from walking and not banging my knees to pulp. I started walking, like Boris bikes. I started walking when I was obese, technically obese. So jogging was just simply out of the question. And walking is now my primary exercise every day. So I've been a little slack this week. I fell asleep twice this week. I think I'm coming down with something. So 2 afternoons this week, I just rode off and took a nap. It's a shame because I have a lot of work to do on my company, Live Womp. LIVEWOMP, Live Womp is my new company. Trying to bring sponsorship to live streamers. But I was tired. How fast do I walk? When I walk on a treadmill, I walk about 6.5 kilometers per hour, which is about 4 miles an hour when I walk on the treadmill. When I walk by myself, it's a little bit slower. I don't know, maybe 5 kilometers, but maybe 5.5. But when I walk with Periscope, I go even slower than that. Busker shuts down Friday, yeah. But live streaming is still huge in Asia. It's a very big business here. Big birds. Oh, Momo, Yee. Periscope has coins, super hearts, which can pay people, but they're not doing sponsorship. There's a company called Niche, which is owned by Twitter, but as far as I know, Niche has never been opened up to Periscope live streamers. A lot of advertisers are very wary about live streamers. They feel the content can be taken off into a tangent they don't want to have discussed. Meerkat is closed. Yeah, well, live streaming in Asia is primarily a dating service. About 80% of the broadcasters are young, attractive women, and about 80% of the watchers are single guys. There's lots of stuff on Twitch. I can't get my Twitch account. Do you have any fears, be it financial and weather? No, not really. I mean, I worry about the world that I'm leaving my son, that the world is going to be like. No, there's not a lot of people on this path. This used to be a rickshaw sedan share path, and nowadays it's just for the occasional hiker. They don't use it. Now everybody drives, basically. But if you look back at pictures from 120 years ago, this used to be a popular path. People going up to the peak. Like travel live stream. I've tried pretty much every platform out there. If you you don't see any scoping from China because Periscope is blocked in China, but you need to download apps like live.me or Inke, I-N-K-E, or Yee, Y-E-Y-E, or 17, Your Life's Moments, Momo. There's hundreds of live streaming apps. Live streaming is a much more developed industry in China. It's a much more lucrative, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry in China. The US is well behind, to be honest. I can't get my username on Twitch because I had actually registered once and I lost the password and they won't give me a new one. YouTube is good. Mainland Chinese spoken English, yeah. More and more Chinese do study English. Many are educated in the U.S. That's why there are many Chinese in the United States. Why is Periscope blocked? Because there's content that goes out on Periscope that the government of China does not approve of. They have cleared a lot of the damage. However, a lot of the trees are now on the side of the road, and the stage 2 is where they come and remove some of those. So there are still, in fact, even there's a couple of parking spaces in my neighborhood that are still blocked by downed trees. Hey, how's it going? Hello from Salvador. I'm from Washington, D.C., which is sort of like a suburb of El Salvador. There are a number of Salvadorans living in Washington, D.C. Yeah, well, the guys who are even worse were the sedan chairs. Those are the ones that had, you know, a chair on 2 sticks, and they would lift up a person and carry them. And they would carry these big, overweight British people all the way up to the peak. They're not able to, they can censor a bit. They can shut down those other services if certain words appear, and then they can always track down who said those words and have them put in jail. Whereas Periscope being offshore, they can't really do that. The fires are pretty bad in the West. I just saw a 747 air tanker engaged. I think it was near LA. Maybe it was in Washington. Have a good night, Ray. Have fun. We're going to go out for lunch. That'll be our next walk. Probably about noon, midnight on the East Coast. We're thinking fish and chips today. Maybe a burger. Depends on my kid. We try to entertain. Salad was last night's dinner, actually. So, not sure if we'll do salad today. It's last night's dinner and the dinner the day before and the dinner 2 days before that. Yeah, fires do make air quality bad. It happens in Singapore a lot when they burn stuff in Indonesia, Malaysia. Try to stay up. No, you should go to bed because you got to get ready for the hurricane in Florida. You don't want to be all bleary-eyed while your roof is getting ripped off. Maybe. Some of that footage was unbelievable. I mean, I was seeing trees just ripped out of the ground in St. Martin. There's the cockatoos. Somewhere up there. I can hear them. Yeah, being a forest fireman is not really a well-paying career. Those Hawaiian buns were really good. They were not as sweet as I would have liked. We got to make them better next time. But I'm thinking of adding more yeast to make them more airy and more sugar to engage the yeast. Activate the yeast. The humidity here and the altitude, baking is difficult here. Especially when a lot of the recipes for like the things I like come from the US or the UK or Europe or something. They do have pineapple juice in the recipe, but I'm not sure why. I have to watch how my nanny made it. Is flour expensive? Yes. It's expensive. It's more expensive than the U.S., but not, I mean, it's still expensive in the U.S. In the US though, you can buy like a 25-pound bag or something at Costco if you had to. But here, it's all these little bags. Red sun from the smoke. I think the problem, this has been a problem, is every time my nanny bakes, it comes out too dense. And so I was reading that A, you can add more yeast, or B, you're under mixing it. Maybe the dough hasn't the right consistency. You need to, or you need to let it sit more. So we'll try again, and I'll see if we can get it a little better next time. Needing it more, it needs to be a lot airier. It does have pineapple juice in the recipe, but it wasn't very sweet. I don't know, maybe the pineapple juice here was sugar-free or something. So it was natural, but it really wasn't that sweet. I think it's just because there was too much dough. And you had a taste of the sweetness. It looked good though. We're definitely trying again. Don't get me wrong, we're definitely going to pull out that recipe again. There was a King's Hawaiian bread we tried to make. Kneading is important. No, China is slowly changing Hong Kong to become more of a Chinese city as much as possible, because an independent Hong Kong that is successful is a threat to the Chinese government stability. All the repression in China is done so in the name of stability and the belief that this is the only way to manage a country over 1 billion people. So if Hong Kong, which is a Chinese city as well, can do stuff in a different way, that's a threat. The bread does make great sliders. I didn't keep the dough in the fridge. Someone did say I should put the dough in the fridge. But almost home. That's my building. The small one. It's only 38 floors. If the firewall comes in place here, everybody will go nuts. Oh, you must be a bot. Keep repeating things. Okay, we're home. Thanks a lot. Humid flour gets some maggots. Oh, yucky. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll be back about noon, and I will show you some lunch. But for now, I'm going to go up and do some stuff.